So today I want to talk about body fat percentage and why, in my opinion, it is not very important, and honestly it's just not a big fucking deal at all. So if you're one of those people that you're consistently checking your body fat and it's pissing you off, it's upsetting you, or just you're consistently using that as your main gauge, in my opinion, you need to just fucking shut that shit down. So the reason I say that is because so many people, for one, they look at the body fat percentage and it is completely inaccurate. Someone that's actually 20% thinks they're 10%, or someone that is 10% thinks they're 2%, and it's just very inaccurate. I'll attach pictures of me at my absolute leanest right here, and when I was my absolute leanest, I stepped on an in-body scale that read I was at 2.4%. If anybody knows, that's physically impossible. You have more body fat percentage in your brain than, like, you physically can't get that lean. You would be dead if you were 2.4%. And I think body fat percentage has a time and a place, just like the scale and just like everything else, where you can use it as a gauge, and if that number is consistently going down, then it could be beneficial to log that and look at that. But what I don't think is beneficial is when you start to obsess over it. When you start to look at it and consistently think, oh my God, I need to be 10%, I need to be 9%, I need to be whatever it is, or you see somebody else that says they're 6%, and then you start obsessing, thinking you need to now look like the way they do. You have to understand, body fat percentage looks different on every single person depending on how much muscle you have and where you're at in your journey. Someone that's 200 pounds at a legit 10% body fat is going to look much different than someone, and also depends on their height, but it's going to be much different than somebody that is at 5'8" and 10% body fat. It's gonna look entirely different. So anytime somebody comes to me and they see the body fat percentage go up, or they see it go down, or let's just say the example of if they see it go up and it bums them out, I have to tell them, like, look at your pictures. You have to realize your water weight, your pictures, everything is a much better gauge than just that body fat percentage number. I guess on top of the just body fat percentage being like such a joke, honestly, like that's what I'm fucking saying, is it's a joke because it's just not accurate. Like, you can go and like get a fucking bod pod, or you could do something along the lines of that, but in my opinion it's still just not fucking accurate, and it's just not something that you should honestly even do. So with me saying body fat percentage is just not a good form of progress that you should go off of, what I think you should go off of, number one, is pictures. How do you look in the mirror? And how do you consistently look when you compare a picture that you took one day to the next day at the same exact time, around about the same amount of food, whatever same time of the day? How do you look in the same exact pose, same exact lighting? That is the number one gauge to be able to tell the progress that you've made, regardless of whatever the hell the body fat percentage says. Don't get hung up on the body fat percentage number, and don't get caught up on the scale. They kind of go hand in hand, but body fat percentage pisses me off more because there's so many people that try to say, oh, I'm 5%, or oh, I'm 3%, and you're really 15%. Not that that matters, but it's just, you should understand it, because you don't sound intelligent. You're very inaccurate with your wording. And even people, like, the closest thing that you could probably do to an accurate body fat percentage is a bod pod, where you get in the bod pod and you like submerge in water and shit, which I have never done, but in what I know, that is the most accurate testing. And they're expensive though. They cost a couple $100, so it's just not worth it, in my opinion. Just go off how you look in the mirror. How do you feel? How do you look? Yeah, what is your weight? And the weight is a whole other thing that you can go off of in terms of a gauge of progress, but don't use it as your entire progress, like in terms of if you are succeeding. You know, another thing that I think is really important with all that being said is, don't think lower body fat percentage equals better, because just like what I said earlier, a different body fat percentage is going to look, the same body fat percentage is going to look different on each individual person depending on how much muscle you have, how tall you are, where you have muscle. You know, there are some people that have very small arms and massive legs and a massive back, and their body fat percentage is the same as someone with big old arms, but you see the person with the big old arms, you're like, oh, that person's way leaner, because you see veins going through their arms and they're super shredded. They look super shredded compared to the person that doesn't have big arms and vascularity throughout their arms. So I think that's another very important thing, and it just goes back into, don't compare yourself to other people. Don't compare yourself to the people, especially when they're saying I am X body fat percentage. Use the mirror, take pictures. Honestly, that's the most important thing, regardless of like what your weight is. I think the weight is an important thing that you can check, but don't get hung up on that. The most important thing, in my opinion, is just take pictures of yourself and compare them in the same exact lighting, the same exact time every day, and have about the same amount of food. So most people, just first thing in the morning after you use the restroom, take pictures and compare them side by side. Stop getting so hung up on the body fat percentage number, people. It is not important. It doesn't fucking matter. At the end, it just doesn't matter. It drives me crazy. So if you guys like this, let me know. If you want me to talk more about something like the scale, and why the scale is important, but not as important still as like taking pictures, or if you just have any video topics, please, that is what I would love to know. It's gonna make me be able to be more creative and help you all answer direct questions that you have. Leave them in the comment section below, and just give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and if it can help you stop worrying so much about the fucking body fat percentage. So yeah, see you guys in the next video, and hopefully you enjoy it.